Daddy, can you tell me that story again?
Sure, son. It starts like this. I'm Buck. I'm a male northern cardinal. I have a bright red crown on my head, which I'm proud of. I live in a tree next to Mr. Bannister's feeder, and I'm considering migrating somewhere far away. What's making me? Well, there's a cool European starling named Astro that harms me for no reason whatsoever. Oftentimes, he and his tufted-mouthed friend Tango pick me up while I'm sleeping in my nest and drop me, but yesterday they did something worse. They came in, I wasn't paying much attention, and screeched as loudly as they could together, giving me quite a surprising jolt. I tried to stand up to them before, but they just harshly pecked at me, as if I was a thief, and I was too shy to ever do it again. I felt like if I migrated somewhere cold and far away and high up. That way it would be nearly impossible for them to reach me ever again. Last night, I started to gather as much food as I could from the feeder and the berry trees nearby, in order to prepare for my migration. This morning, I noticed a student setting up a strange machine outside, probably for a project of some sort. It had some sort of stick jammed into the side and able to push up and down. I noticed a knob on the same side. Also, finally, the peculiar contraption had a short, thick pole with a black fuzzy ball on top. I tried fidgeting around with it, and eventually found out that when turning the knob a certain way, flinging the stick and chirping into the fuzzy ball, a very loud noise would be heard. This was my chance. I lured Astro and Tango over to the machine, asking them if they knew what it was, even though they had no clue. I precisely turned it off and flipped the stick out of the quiet. After that I was done, I squawked as loud as possible, and I could feel the shade fuzzy ball booting up, the sound emerging and knocking the two birds fall away. Sweet revenge, I thought. At last, I was have gotten payback. I soared in the air, not knowing where I would end up, but having a sense that the journey ahead would be more. Buck. February 24th, 2024. Helena, Montana, United States. It's me again. I arrived in a place called Heaven, Montana. After a long 54 hours from flying from pheasants, at least that's what I heard the local humans call this place, but maybe I misheard them. Hopefully this place will be great. Okay, let me give you a quick recap on my flight to heaven. While I was in New York on the way here, I met a friendly female northern cardinal named Juno. Turned out that she wanted to come along with my migration too. She was bullied by the mourning doves in her area. I noticed my down feathers have been growing larger and thicker on the way here. Same goes for Juno's. Well, it's a good thing they are, since we're going further north and getting colder. While the two of us were passing Minnesota, we heard a deafening screech, and a few moments later, he felt a magic object hovering over us. It was a hawk. Juno and I split up and distracted the hawk to get away. In case you're wondering just how we escaped, we happened to be flying over a human highway at the time. There was a big neon metallic sign for some human invention on the side. So we darted right, but split at the last second. The hawk only focused on dinner, wasn't paying enough attention. And splash! Guts right into the sign. Poor guy. He seemed okay, but Juno and I obviously couldn't stay to help. Anyway, both of us were stocking up on food in the city, preparing for our next sleep and migration. We were thinking of going somewhere more northwest. My parents used to tell me about the towering chain mountains called the Himalayas. That's our target. I heard even they have subtropical forests at the bottom of the valleys, and the tallest mountains, Mount Everest. Mount Everest is over 5 miles tall. To any other cardinal, this is thousands of you stacked on top of each other. Juno and I planned to leave a few hours from now, right before sunrise. We saw no hawks, and we started taking off. See you after a new 1,000 miles. Buck and Juno. February 27th, 2024. Anchorage, Alaska, United States. Buck and Juno back with another journal entry here. It's been about 4.5 days since I left Fescue. I'm wondering how Astro and Tango are doing right now. Hopefully karma came for them since I've been gone. Things have been getting much colder and harder to traverse. Luckily, we've started to develop larger wingspans and larger contour feathers too. I've heard some local humans in the city of Anchorage talking about an ocean separating us from the United States, Asia, and the Himalayas. It's called the Bering Strait. Okay, I cannot be hearing these names correctly. Anyways, sorry about that. On our flight to this place, Juno and I crossed another country. Something like learning the human language. The people here are quite polite and offered us tons of bird seeds to eat and to stock up on. After that, we had to fly through a blizzard. Thankfully, it was a short flight through that. The rest of the way was mostly just barren land and farmland. In this place called Anchor Ridge, humans have been talking about ice fishing competition. Not sure what it is. Not sure what ice is or fishing, but I do know what fish are. Yummy fish. Back at Pheasant, my parents would sometimes bring me an uneaten fish from the dining hall, which is ever so conveniently near our nest. Fish is my favorite food. I can't believe Gino has never had any before. Well, I'll sure be eat tons of it and introduce it to Gino too. At this competition tomorrow, we plan to head back over the Bering Strait as usual. So, see you a few thousand miles later, Buck and Gino. March 1st, 2024, in the Kamchatka Peninsula in Russia. Buck and Gino back at you with another journal entry. Now in Russia. The humans must be here in quite a hurry, if that's the country's name, is what I thought. But instead they all stopped to look at us with curiosity, since they had never seen any male northern cardinals, or female. Me and Gino were crossing this Bering Strait. A hailstorm came through, pelting our wings. We needed a place to land. Thankfully, we saw a human cargo ship to land on. Human names made no sense. First Heaven, Montana, then Anchor Ridge, Alaska, then the Bering Strait. Now this. There weren't even any humans cars on here, even though there were vehicles, but none of them were moving. Gee, what's the human thought process? We slid through a door, a human worker on the ship opened it and ran outside to take cover from the hail. The ship eventually brought us across the Bering Strait, but still north of Kamchatka. Well, what's the name supposed to mean? Human cameras talking to each other? Anyways, given we were so far north and there was barely any food to forage, Juno and I had to notice that we had grown larger and sharper beaks. Our crown started to point backwards. It's a good thing. They did. Since we were nothing to forage, we had to restore to the exhausting route of scavenging. Now, however, we arrived in Kamchatka. While we were here, we've been getting more concerned about the situation, and so have the locals. They even pressed buttons with little metallic slabs with blue and white cards having flashing lights on top appear right after. I think they're all wondering what American Bridge is doing all the way across the world, and I can see why. We should probably get out of here soon. We met a kind red knot here, named Maroon. From what he told us, he was migrating even further north. Instead, we wanted to come a little further south for a change. We planned to stop at Roko Island in Kobe, Japan. Back at Pheasant, I was friends with a student named Liam. Somehow, I felt we could communicate even though we were two different species. He told me about how we lived in Roko Island too, just before writing this entry. I told Juno and Maroon about him and that the reason I wanted to stop there on a migration route. Maroon especially seemed interested, of course. See a few thousand miles later, Buck and Juno and Maroon. March 4th, 2024. In Roko Island, Japan, next to Kobe. Buck and Juno and Maroon are coming with you to another journal entry. Now we've arrived in Japan at Roko Island. Huh? Wait, why should a human put rocks in a pan? Seriously, how just are humans so developed? They're quite questionable thinking process. Anyways, back to the recap. Three of us have arrived in the pan after flying over the Western Pacific Ocean nearby Korea in China. We saw some speedboats. They got curious about us and started following us. They were very worried that so we tried to split up and regroup near some giant rocks jutting out of the water. Luckily, we escaped. Now we're in the pan, Maroon told us. He wants to stay here and wait. After that while, maybe Liam would come back. Well, maybe he would come back. It could take a few years, but like his faithfulness, it's almost like Maroon has a super strong gut feeling about things. Usually it's right. One example of that, when we heard a blaring noise in the distance, we were still in Kamchatka, and wrote previous entry. He told us he knew he'd been having them before, and that we had to leave right then and there. Juno and I were clueless, but a few moments later we took off and looked back and saw humans in uniform cutting out of white and blue cars with lights. They were holding small black metallic plugs that shot tiny metal cylinders out of the holes on them. Thank God the birds our trust in maroon turned out for the better. Here in the pan, there are tons of friendly people and delicious food. All of the people were downright fascinated and had no intention of harming us. Instead, they gifted us with tons of mouth-watering birdseeds and fish. All the buildings around, yet not too many, that the island was polluted and or crowded. It provided great shelter for us. We were stopping up on rather quickly, though. Even though we would love to stay here on our mission, we have to get to Mount Everest. That's our vision of paradise. So we can maybe stop back here from time to time. Maybe we can check back on Moon and eat tons of yummy food. And even see Liam someday. Anyway, Juno and I are going to say goodbyes to Maroon and this paradise, then stock up on food and rest. Well, why? The last part of our journey will be the longest and most treacherous part yet. See you at Everest, 3,000 miles later. That's probably hundreds of thousands of you in a line later, if you're not a cardinal, that is. Buck and Juno. March 8th, 2024, and Mount Everest, Nepal. Buck and Juno smashing in one with last year in the entry. We made it. I'm recently on the way to this mountain paradise. Juno and I developed more camouflage feathers. This will be definitely help us blend in with the snowy biome and force on the lower elevation while flying over the lower elevation in this mountain chain. We got blown into a blizzard. It was almost impossible to see anything, and the expensive blank storm. The two of us had to hide in a little cave nearby, which is really small for our giant new bodies. However, the snow blocked us in. We panicked, unsure of what to do, but then we heard a loud mechanical and there was a stench of gasoline, materials humans consistently use. The snow was getting brighter. Juno and I hid in a small crevice inside the cramped cave, in case some giant animals come along with humans in the intent of harming us. A few minutes later, after sliding into our hiding spot, a massive orange car of some sort smashed through the snow. We were humans shouting. We were terrified for our lives. We practically whacking on the snow with our shovels. Well, pretty much our beaks, but their shovels, after they were the grand prize waiting for them in the cave. When we saw their faces, we froze in fear. They didn't even look like humans. Their entire bodies were wrapped in black layers. The humans noticed one of us and gestured for us to come out. Us, doubting their concern, came out, but slowly, one step at a time. We squawked at them as an act of threatening. Then we flew away and continued our journey puzzled. Now that we're here, we found this nice indent on a steep cliff to nest in. Juno and I collecting sticks from the food for the subtropical forest down below to build our nest together. I was wondering how Astro and Tango were doing back at Pheasant, and of course, a few moments later, I heard the last thing I ever wanted to hear. "Hey, bozo, who's the lady?" With weakly squawked Himalayan voice. I knew it was. Astro, meaning Tango, was following behind them, laughing hysterically for some reason. "That's right, we followed you, you idiot. They told us they just hitched a ride on an airplane to arrive here much faster." How did the two boys know where we were? Just an unlucky guess, Juno and I thought. I just thought what to do. Since they took the shortcut, they hadn't adapted to the climate and were already tired and freezing. The two of us picked them up with our long talons and headed over and tried to headbutt them into the mountain. Even more ironically, they formed a big ball while rolling down and eventually picked up snow, making it even bigger. Then I heard a loud crash and winced at the sound. "No! My perfect beak!" yelled Astro. Ah, yes, revenge at its finest. The bullies defeated, we scurried away back into the meadows below. That will teach them never to mess with me or Juno again. And who knows, maybe I'll keep all of you northern cardinals posted about our life here in the Himalayas. Feel free to migrate and join us. To the Himalayan cardinals, we'll see you soon. And a few thousand miles later, migration and goodbye.